Alright, in this lesson we'll take a brief break from the specific pandas functions, and I just wanted to show you how the series object plays really well with Python's built-in functions. So let's begin by re-importing our two CSV files. So now we're starting from the exact same position, and I'm just going to pass these series objects into a combination of different Python functions. Now, many of these operations are available through actual pandas methods that we can call directly on our series. But this lesson is really just showing that pandas is so well built that it plays along really well with the existing stuff that's in Python. So as one example, we have the built-in len function, which is part of Python. And when you give it a string, it gives you the number of characters in that string. When you give it a list, it gives you the number of elements or items within that list. And if we actually pass a series object to that len function, it's going to give us the number of rows. So len, when passed a series, gives us the total number of rows within that series. So if we similarly pass the Google series to len, we can see that there are 3,012 rows within our within our Google series. There are 3,012 values, rather, within our Google series. We also have the built-in type function. That's part of Python. And this is really great for figuring out what type of object you're dealing with. So if I pass either Pokemon or Google to this function, I'm going to get that it's a series. We also have the dir built-in function. That's short for directory. And if we pass Pokemon to it, as an example, it's going to give us an output of all of the available attributes and methods within that object. And this time, actually, the secret or hidden methods will also be included. Those are these ones at the beginning that have these double underscores. But this is just another way that we can see what we see whenever we use our tab completion. And by the way, whenever we have a large scrollable output like this, we can hover our mouse over here to this left section, and whenever this shows up in gray, if we double click, that's going to hide and condense, or collapse rather, that scrollable output. We also have the built-in Python sorted function, and if we pass it a series of strings like Pokemon, it's going to return a sorted list of all of those values in alphabetical order. And similarly, if I pass a numeric series like Google to the sorted built-in function, it's going to give me a list where the values are going to be sorted in ascending order, which means the smallest values numerically are going to show up first, and the largest values numerically are going to show up last. Once again, I'm going to double-click on the left here to condense this. We also have the built-in list function. When you give it a Panda series, it's going to take the values and turn them into a Python list. So it's kind of doing the exact opposite operation that we've done, where we've usually created a list and turned it into a series, or rather used it as the basis of our series. But here, if we have a series and we want to convert it to a Python list, we can pass it directly to the list function. We also have the dict built-in function, and when you give it a series, let's do Google this time, it's going to turn it into a dictionary where the index labels are going to be the keys and the values are going to be the series values. So this is a reverse of the operation that we did when we passed a dictionary as our data source or our argument to the series constructor method. So there we have a dictionary generated from a series. And finally, two more built-in functions. We have max and min. If we give a series of strings like Pokemon to the built-in max function, it's actually going to return the last value when the series is sorted alphabetically. So Zygarde, which starts with Z, is the very last value alphabetically in our Pokemon values. And similarly, if I do the min function to get the first item alphabetically, that's going to give us Abamamaznao. I'm pretty certain I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And if we use the max and min functions on numeric series in comparison, if we pass Google, for example, it's going to return the highest value that's within that series, so the greatest number, which is 782. And similarly, if we pass the numeric series, which is Google, into our Python built-in min function, that's going to return the smallest value within that series. So we'll start diving more into other series attributes and methods in upcoming lessons. But really the key takeaway from this lesson is that Pandas does play friendly with existing Python built-in functions. It's a pretty up-to-date open source library, so all of these little things have been built right into it. So you can many times, instead of searching for the right method in Pandas, sometimes use pre-existing Python built-in functions to accomplish the same goal. That's just really the key lesson here. And in the next lesson, we'll start diving into a lot more series attributes.